I want you to know that even though we doing it real grand, if this
podcast
shit don't work, we running up in niggas' houses, my word.
Welcome back to episode 3 of the Red Clay Podcast. This is your host, Dana Jones.
This is Michael White.
And we got two lovely guests. I'll let them introduce yourselves.
Ooh, okay. Thanks for the tap.
No problem.
This is Casey. I do nonprofit work. I work with Black people. I love my people.
Yeah.
Word.
My name is Sieta. I'm Black. You know, I love Black people. I hope Black people love me. I do work. I'm not gonna specify what type. You know, hopefully y'all figure it out.
For both of y'all. Thank both of y'all for what y'all do for Black people.
Yeah, I'm excited for y'all to be here.
Yeah.
We all go back, not way back, but back enough. So I'm excited to see what y'all are going to bring to the conversation. Micah, I'll let you lead us off about what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, for sure. So,
And Happy New Year.
yeah, to all the people out there, we started a new year. We've crossed this threshold into 2026, and we're just trying to figure out, you know, what's in the air, what everybody's feeling. So, I don't know. I can maybe get us started with maybe just one question. Just considering us, Black people, what the year has been for lots of different people, what it may look like for people going forward. I'm just curious, you know, can Black people ever start with like a clean slate, you know, or is history always in the room?
I think we're always gonna carry the history with us. I think everybody gotta die first if we're gonna have a clean slate. I don't think it, with everybody already here and like as much as we already know, but even outside of like having stuff on paper to know, it's kind of like an ingrained feeling. Like there's stuff that like we know without even having like proof of it. And so I feel like it's gonna take a lot of. There's gonna be so many institutions that we need in order to have a quote unquote clean slate, whatever that might mean.
What is that definition?
Like a clean slate, like at least what I think that we're talking about is like clean slate historically, socially, like politically. That's kind of not devoid of like the stain of colonialism, but like without the like weight of colonialism constantly affecting us. I think even if we like have like a revolution, like some type of mass uprising, I think it's gonna take centuries, like decades to centuries for like Black people to have enough of the resources, enough time in those resources across the generations to heal and have that theoretical clean slate. And I in my mind right now, I don't even know what that might look like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I probably generally would agree with you. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of baggage, you know, just attached to us as Black people, like just to this country, to like everything. I don't think there's really, I don't know, not in the foreseeable future to like ever truly clean the slate. But like, you know, if we're not talking on like the grand scale of Black people, but like, I don't know, you as a Black person, do you feel like you ever enter like a room or go to a place in which, you know, Blackness is not like a thing that is, you know, so anchored to you? Like, do we think that like any kind of like color blindness like is actually real? I guess in some sense that's probably what's at the core of some of that question, but like, I don't know.
I mean, I think that like moving forward, it would probably be hard to have a clean slate because we're already racialized, and I don't particularly see a world in which we can like separate ourselves, especially like as a Black American, because like our racial and ethnic identity is tied to that word heavily. Like I know some people like on the internet recently have been trying to like get a new word, like whether it be like Solon or which is like probably the least problematic of all of them, like, you know, the foundation of Black America, like all those things. But yeah, our racial and ethnic identities is too tied to that, and it's like it means something, at least to us. And so I don't particularly see us, like if the revolution happened tomorrow and we get everything that we want, that we would part with that, especially still being in this country and having other racialized people among us. Like, we're not just gonna all start saying like, oh, we're the same now. I don't foresee that happening.
For sure. Well, I wonder if it's like, I can't get into the mind of like a Black like immigrant, but I wonder if they feel like racialized like on a offset, like when they step off the boat or the plane or wherever the fuck niggas come from, you know what I'm saying? Like if they feel all of that as well. I mean, we see a lot of like, you know, like you see MAGA people like everywhere, but like I feel like, I don't know, the MAGA Black like Caribbeans, the MAGA Black like Africans, them niggas stand out in a very like real way to me. And I don't know, the fact that they exist and they stand out to me in such a way that they do tells me that, I don't know, maybe they don't feel racialized in the same way. Like obviously they are, but like that feeling of it, I would imagine it's probably a little different, you know, coming from like a homogenous like country where you have your own history. I mean, we all have our own history, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're connected with your own people. You're around like people that look like you day in and day out. So I don't know. I mean, I often hear about like how the conversation about race and ethnicity and everything like that is always different from people across the diaspora not coming from the States. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky thing, I guess.
I mean, I think that like they're as opposed to they might not be as racialized being in their home country, but they are like nationalized. Like they can represent themselves in a certain kind of way that's going to be acknowledged by the rest of the globe. Like you can represent yourself politically in a certain way if you say like I'm Jamaican and like I have a country that kind of like supports me. And that's the same with people on the continent, the other like islands and stuff, where even and they're proud to be such as they should, but like with Black Americans there is a hand wringing. Not even talking about being proud to be American, but like saying you are American. There's like you really got to pull that out of people, and it's just all like whether you like it or not, you American.
Yeah.
And so, I hear a lot of people who have like especially been out of the country, especially like going to Europe. A lot of Black Americans will be like, oh, people can see my Americanness when I go to these places that like I'm not really privy to while I'm back home because I'm so racialized. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. You speaking on like Jamaica and like just differences in like Blackness across like where you come from. I watch a lot of Olay and Friends, and Olay talks about like the differences between like being a Black immigrant from like the continent, because like she's both Bahamian and she's both Bahamian and Nigerian, but a lot of people like to conflate like her lesser, like people will use like her Nigerian ancestry to like tear her down when she has like any type of like political view that maybe the Black masses do not agree with or do not like co-sign, whereas like they'll completely erase like the Caribbean part of her. Like they'll be so quick to tear down like the African part of her because like there's a context of being African with Blackness that like is a little bit like I guess socially like lower compared to like maybe like Black and from the Caribbean or from like England or like from Europe or whatever. And she just talks about how essentially based off of like our prior bias or just internal like feelings about Black people depending on where they come from, that can dictate your entire experience as an immigrant. And also like just somebody who's not an immigrant at all. Like for example, like with Tyler the Creator, like when he was getting like his ass handed to him, people found out that like his dad is like Nigerian or whatever. And then like all of a sudden it was like, let's tear this nigga down because like he wanted them, and so
which is crazy because sorry to cut you off, but like which is crazy because like his dad wasn't in his life, and so it's just like while he's ethnically Nigerian, like culturally he has no connection to that, so he's essentially kind of moving like any other like Black American in this country would.
Exactly. And the point that like Olay was trying to make is that the moment that people find out in mass that you are an immigrant or like have any connection to like the continent, it serves like as an extra added force for them to like dogpile you, because like there seems to be just some type of like not even unspoken but like underlying like othering of like people who are from Africa, because I feel like I talked about this with my cousin. Sorry, Casey, I know the thing is kind of buzzing a little bit, but I talked about this a little bit with my cousin because I'm not throwing my family too much under the bus, but let's just say
some of you know.
There's a dilemma within the family where like one of my cousins married into a family who are like they're Black American, and we're Liberian, and so the issue that's coming up is that his wife's family feels like we're too proud. They feel like we're always bragging about like being Liberian, we're always bragging about like where we come from and having that identity, and that it feels like it's constantly in their faces. And me and my cousin was talking about how like there's a difference between the connotation of being like Black African and Black Caribbean, because people know you'll never tear up like a Jamaican for being like very like staunch and then being Jamaican and like flaunting that. But my cousin was saying like there's a bit of a flashiness that people like observe like Africans who are proud of like Black, or I don't know the proper political terminology to like speak on like Black people who are from Africa and claim Africa, but essentially like my cousin was saying like there's a flashiness that people see with like West Africans, and then they consider that to be like kind of showboaty, and I feel like it feels like a double standard, because I'm like, if you get an Italian in the room, that nigga will be up and down about how they're Italian and be the most obnoxious bitch in the room, but like God forbid like us as West Africans, us as Liberians want to come around with the flag and like want to wear like our cultural like wear and like just talk about being Liberian, have that identity and like that pride. It just comes with a certain level of like, I don't even know how to like sum it up, like what the core like of course it's like white supremacy, but like there's so many other things at play. It could be also like feeling like you don't have a cultural identity, like as a Black American, and feel like maybe like there could be some type of loss within somebody feeling like, damn, like you get to be so proud about where you come from, and I'm still trying to piece together, like all I know is that I'm from South Carolina, you know. And I feel like there's not enough pride in like Black American roots because of the stain of slavery. And I'm like, I don't think that that should be an inhibitor for like people to find pride in like their history, which is why I say like I think a clean slate would be very difficult, because it would take like a lot of psychological like healing and like reshaping like people's perception of where they're from in their history in order for them to even evolve past that. And I think that I can't even conceptualize how much time that'll take to like roll back or like grow from.
Someone who's like who's kind of on the other side of that journey, like I remember when I first kind of came into like a racial consciousness, I guess. I remember I was very angry for like a good year at white people, just like actively angry and also actively shameful. I was just like, damn, like my conception of my identity starts with slavery. Like that's where like the Black American was created. But then I got to a point, it wasn't anything that I particularly read. It just kind of like was like a snap where I was like, slavery is actually not my shame to carry. It's white people's. Like I'm not ashamed that like that's, you know, where my Black American like lineage starts. You know, we did a lot even through slavery. You know, we still had like, you know, internal lives like outside of that. And that's okay. But what I did start doing a lot was like being like, oh, like I have a rich history and racial identity here in America that is 400 plus years long. Like, and also like understanding that like, and I be combative with like my own people, like Black Americans, saying, because we will also be the first to be all like, man, we don't know who we are, we don't have nothing, like look at this, that, and the third. But it's just like, one, like culture actually doesn't take a long time to build. Like it doesn't take 400 years. It really takes less than 50 years. Like it doesn't take a long time for an idea of culture to be incepted. But I'm just all like, we American, like and even through different states, like I kind of look at like Black people similar to I look like in Africa with like tribes based on where you're from. Like a Black person in New York is not the same as even a Black person in Philly. And it's definitely not the same as a Black person in Memphis or Atlanta or whatever. And we all have an umbrella of like, oh, we all adapt the same. We kind of have the same phrases and stuff like that. But like, there are other geographical cultural differences that work in a similar way to like, whether it be countries in the Caribbean or like tribes on the continent, where they are different, even though they kind of like look similar.
Right.
And that's, to me, that's enough to be like, I'm cool with being proud in my identity of being a Black American, especially like a Black American in the South.
For sure. I wonder if like, I feel like a large part of the shame just comes from the fact that like our identity is tied to this place being a settler colonial project. And a very particular one that like functions as like a global hegemon and fucks up all of the other countries across like the continent, across the world. And I wonder if, like, say if we talk to Black Canadians, I wonder if they would have like a same, because like they still got their history of like, you know, inclusion, exclusion, and fucking dispossession, all the shit of all the indigenous people that was there. I don't know shit about fucking Canadian history. I don't know if they had slaves.
So when you say a Black Canadian, what do you mean by that?
Just like somebody that would identify as like Black Canadian. I guess Drake is a very particular type of person. But let's say like somebody in fucking like Drake's crew, fucking, you know, any of them, let's say Park Next Door, right? That he's a nigga that is from, I think, from like Mississauga or something like that. And he is not political as far as I understand, but like there are things that they embrace typically about like, it tends to be like Caribbean and African like influences, but there are people who are there that came from the South, from like the United States South, and they, you know, created communities there. And I wonder if their identity has like a similar amount of shame to it, because it brings me back, honestly, this is a conversation I think I have with you, Casey, about like, I take issue sometimes with like the old Afrocentrics, the old Pan-Africans, because a lot of, and maybe I'm conflating those terms, but like I think of the niggas that wear the dashikis and, you know, them type of niggas, right? Because there is a certain type of Blackness and Africanness that they try to latch onto, or that they have created, that is rooted like primarily in just a vague West Africanness. Like more often than not, like they're taking pieces from West Africa, South Africa, even East Africa, and
Definitely.
they turn it into
Definitely East Africa.
a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like even like when
Even Egypt, like pyramid, like all of that.
Exactly. So these like Afrocentrics, I don't know. I've went on rants before about like how that in some way feels a little, I don't know. Disrespectful isn't quite the word, but it's like you're playing around. You're
Like playing dress up.
Exactly. You're playing dress up. And I position myself like in opposition to that, basically just by saying just embrace the Americanness, right? Like we to the point that you were making, Dana, about like how other black people from other countries, when you go to their country, they're like, that's an American nigga right there. And you can tell how you walk, how you talk. Just like I heard one time, like they can tell a nigga is American if he's like leaning up against the wall, or how he holds his cigarette, or how he drinks his water and shit like that. There's just like so many unconscious things that niggas just do that are just fundamentally American that you just can't separate them. And but even with that, I think a lot of the discuss maybe at some level comes from the fact that this is such a deplorable fucking country. I mean, we were at the top of the year, and like just looking back, just starting from January to December, there was some bullshit every single fucking goddamn day. And it's also really fucking funny to me because since that nigga took office, like I would just be seeing people saying, "What has America become? What is going?"
But we've always been deplorable. Like what we doing now ain't new. We've been on the fuck shit. Like we've been doing crazy crimes against humanity, literally.
From the beginning.
Like it's just we got the internet now, and so it got a little polish on it. But we've been doing stuff like destabilization, espionage. We've been doing it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Nah, not at all. And I'm like, niggas can just turn the time back to like, let's say October, November 2023. I'm like, I would wager that period of time was just as fucked up as like whatever we're like. Yeah, shit has escalated and gotten worse. But I'm like, you can't look at October, November, December 2023 and be like, how did we get here, bitch? We've been here since like,
since 1608. Like we've been here.
Honestly, this shit was brewing before that too. Like,
Right. And I don't think we get a clean slate. I think history is a blessing to us. Part of me wants to defend our brothers and siblings and sisters and counterparts who like seek to make a new story for ourselves. I think there's like I think of myself as an Afrofuturist, and I think there's something important about rewriting your narrative and borrowing from other places. I think that's okay. But that's not to be ahistorical. And so I think about like the legacy of Sun Ra, because Sun Ra is a historical troll.
I was waiting for Sun Ra to get back.
The homies know like.
Let 5 minutes go, Casey talking.
Okay,
is that just how bitch just started speaking? Right,
just got a line, just got on air. But yeah, like he's a person who like amalgamated all these like symbols from all these different cultures. But there was a political statement being made there around like, we're not who you say we are not who you tell us we are. And I think when we think about Black history, I know that Black Americans have a very unique experience of having to live alongside of our oppressors in a way that a lot of Black people don't have to. Not everybody, because there are plenty of other Black communities that still have to have these exchanges. But I think Black American trauma is particular, not to say that it's superior or that it's like, worse. But I think it's just unique because we live alongside people who, for all intents and purposes, could have been our enslavers. And that is a unique experience that, like, I think impacts how we see ourselves. And it impacts the messages we get about ourselves and how we form our own identity and how we seek to, in some ways, be a little escapist when it comes to our history. And so I have a lot of grace for communities like Black Hebrew Israelites, the Moors, these groups that get together and they're like...
Better than me.
And I'm not going to say that their histories are correct.
For sure.
But then, Sun Ra is like, I'm from Saturn. And I think there's still power in being able to say, like, I'm going to write myself a narrative and I'm going to embrace a history that allows me to be who I see myself as. Now, with that said, I do think that our authentic histories are a blessing. And if you're not able to venerate your actual ancestors, I don't think that will spiritually put you in a good place. So if your history involves you erasing the work of your ancestors and failing to be able to respect anyone who came before you and whose shoulders you stand on, I fear for you and what that means for your future. Good luck. Let me know how the experiment goes. But clean slate, like, I wouldn't want one. I would decide against it. I think history is a blessing, even as it's traumatic and hard. But we got here because of people who loved us deeply and fiercely. So to take that away, to take away our survival and the source of our thriving, I wouldn't do it.
I think to your point on like creating a narrative, and I like how you said that, because it makes me think about like what kind of path you go down once you create that narrative. Because like someone like Sun Ra, who, you know, like we appreciate and everything like that, like he took that exercise and like did good with it, and still had like a decent sense of kind of like where he was in the world. But like there are other groups of people that do the same thing and go like the opposite way.
And yes,
Like
right.
the niggas who be like, oh, we was kings. And it's just like, well, we weren't
Right.
we weren't all
Or end
kings.
up misogynist
Number one,
when that's like counter to our culture.
you know,
Right.
exactly. Or you know, the like saying like, oh, like with the Afro like centrists do, but like, you know, starting our history like with Egypt, like all these different things. That's kind of like you're this. I think when you create a narrative that is ahistorical, you actually just create another lie.
And it can be very problematic. And so I think, you know, that's part of the question. Like, you know, Sun Ra is like trolling. Like, I'm from Saturn, and you know, he's posing all these questions around myth and reality, and what is the reality we're in. And there's like a very clear, I don't want to call it a game to trivialize it, but I think there's an element of play in what he does that's like important and worthwhile. Like, whimsicality. There's play. Like, yeah, he's a troll. Like, that's I don't know how else to like. And but yeah, like I can't say that the Moors are trolling at all. Like, I think they're very self.
I think they're mysterious.
They believe themselves. And you know, we can we can put our historian hats on and be like, that's false. True and false in the Western world is complicated, and objectivity is not like our God. And like, yeah, what does it mean when we're not honoring our truth? What does it mean when like what we walk forward with is a lie? And that does feel like really dangerous. And we see the outcomes of that sometimes, where it's like, you know, Thanksgiving Day, I'm riding around and like dudes on the street corner like, you know, here's our 12 tribes. I'm like,
It's like prove it.
Therefore, like, what's the theory of change here?
exactly.
Like, okay, so I'm the tribe of Benjamin.
Who are these niggas?
Yeah.
First of all?
How-
Like, who are these niggas?
No, Benjamin pull up on the block with you.
No, like, therefore what?
Yeah,
And
what's the
so
point?
I don't. If we are going to shift and toy with histories and narrative and story, then we need to also be toying with our vision. Like, give me a vision, and then walk me backwards from the vision. And so, at least, you know, part of my respect for Sun Ra, not that he's
No, go off.
Good example.
he's just a saint as any other saint is imperfect, but like, you know, at least he has a vision of like, we're gonna transcend.
Yeah.
It's very vague, and it doesn't always make sense in
Sure.
in the rational sense that we like to, you know, enlightenment, blah blah blah. But there you can piece together a concept of a vision. I'm unclear on the Black Hebrew Israelites vision, or the Moors vision, or the We Was Kings vision, the Hotep's vision. Like, where? Because what I find myself when I talk to some of you, my future is concerning to me. Barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen with
like,
sister wives,
Yeah.
and I'm positive. You know, I don't mind.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be a radical.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like that,
I'm here for that, but like also, this future for me is not a liberating one whatsoever.
Not at all.
So, does our history that we're adopting carry us towards the future in which we're liberated? And if the answer is no, maybe we got something in the story wrong. Because like, I don't think there is a history of ours that we can take and like that can't get us to freedom if it's like true enough. And I don't even need it to be fact, but is it true?
True enough.
Like I find like all the groups of people that we discussed, they all have like two things in common. One is it's like they hate white people, but like the other one is that they start our story from the same tapestries of like colonialism and absolute power that these white empirical powers did as well. Like, we was kings. That's a monarchy. Like, we had all these like riches and like we start from this thing that's super high up that have no like space for like, what about everybody else? Everybody wasn't rich. So like,
These
what
are
about the common
agrarian
folk? How did you
societies,
treat
right?
them? Like, all, or like, and even like, you know, like people love like Mansa Musa. That's like a story of capital, right? Like, it's like, oh, he changed like nations' economies with his wealth. Like, bro, I thought we said fuck billionaire. Like, what? Like there's these like these lines that like don't add up to what we say we believed and then what we kind of venerate, that honestly like don't got nothing to do with us in the material sense right now.
That's why the vision
Because
is
it's like
twisted.
you can't be like, oh, Mansa Musa, but then also be like, you know, Fred Hampton. You can't
Right,
be like, because
one wants class.
them are opposed.
Yeah.
So like, which one is it?
It's-
And oftentimes they be doing the other way.
And how we tell our history forms our political identity, right? Exactly. And so, why are you telling a story that forms our political identity and it's something that glorifies accumulation and hoarding of wealth? Like, is that what we're hoping for? Is that the liberation? Is that liberation to you?
For a lot of niggas, yeah. I mean, for a lot of niggas, what it comes down to is a lot of them, just as well as you put it, it's like they just want to replace white people, to replace white men. They want to be as misogynistic, as sadistic, as like capital hoarding as white people. They literally just think that should be us. That's as far as the thought ever goes. And niggas will just use whatever it is that they come across to like validate their thinking behind that and why they should get to that. The only group, and I'm gonna say with an asterisk, the only one that's different is the nation. The nation is and I still very much have a lot of love and appreciation for the nation and what they have done. Despite them niggas believing in like aliens and Yaku and everything like that.
Everybody got their issues.
Nobody's perfect. Who amongst us? You know what I'm saying? And I remember, and this might have even been a little bit too extreme, but I remember defending Farrakhan to my homeboy just the other day, just because it was a choice, and I made that choice, and I have reasons behind that choice. But like, I think they are the people that had a vision. They had material interests at the core.
I'll give them that.
The material part.
That's the only thing.
I think that's why people have a soft spot for them. Because they was like helping people.
It was in the pudding. Like, you could see.
It was like, hey, let's clean up this street and let's get you off a drug. Like that.
I mean, and that's why the Panthers, or at the very least, any of the black radical militants that were actually on that shit in the 60s and the 70s, like, they are very much descendants of the nation, very much descendants of like Malcolm and all of that, because, well, one, because they're mostly Marxists and anarchists, but like they saw like a method for it. Like, they actually saw how people could put together institutions and truly like wield power. Like, them niggas launched whatever you feel about protests, and I got my thoughts on it, but like, them niggas launched a 1 million man march in like the 90s or 80s, whatever the fuck that shit was. Like, just the fact
that is actually crazy.
That 1 million niggas is what you telling me?
In DC?
In DC?
They counted everybody?
It wasn't already a millionaire. It probably was more, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But like, just the fact that they even have that, it's a shame. I don't know, they're probably infiltrated by feds. They probably have like a million different things going on with them now. And at this point, they've become just another one of those, I don't want to call them cults, but like cults, that are just essentially talking about like the cultural and the spiritual and the mind and all this other stuff in terms of like what the family structure should be and what this should be, and like men should be above women and this, and there's a plot to demasculate men and all this other shit. They talking the same shit that other niggas are, and not really. They very much fell off of the material thing, but I don't know. They're the only ones that stand out to me. And they're the only ones that still inspire in some kind of way, because like you were saying, they actually did it. They pulled niggas off the street. They made Malcolm X. Like, it's the one thing that we can, if we won't give him nothing else, we can say Elijah Muhammad.
It was Malcolm X. Yeah.
He gave the world Malcolm X.
I feel like I'll be remiss then if we don't mention the Black Christian Church, which this isn't too, because they are another group that exercises a particular myth making around Black people that I do not fully subscribe to. And with respect to their organizing and at the time that it was, and of course all these groups patriarchal, all, like, we can list the problems, but at the same time, for Black Americans to have been forced to adopt Christianity, and for there to have been an institution that's like, okay, we're going to hold that and create a story around that kind of works. Like, I have to respect it. And that story does not have to work for everybody. So that's where I do get some level of understanding for Moore's BHI, for like, they're trying to find a story that actually works. I can understand that. I can understand that, because a lot of Black Christians are believing a story about themselves that also is not historically fully accurate.
And I feel like the through line and everything that y'all are saying is like, at the crux of it is like a certain hold over the media and text that like historically aligns with like your struggle or whatever you've come up in and whatever you identify in, because in each of these different groups they have a relationship with media and text in which they formed an analysis, which is where they're forming their ideology and their beliefs about themselves and their future and their history around. And I think like specifically what we're doing here is a way to combat that. So we go back to the beginning of the question of like, can we have a clean slate? And then me saying like there would take so many different steps in order to like have some sort of direction towards that. I think that folks have to find, and people have to get very clear about media analysis and like really dive into media analysis and understand the role in which how they engage with media and text, in whatever form, how that's psychologically impacting them. Because I was talking with my therapist earlier. She was asking like what I want to do, and I was telling her I really want to go into media psychology, because I really think it's the way in which that we engage today with like media is why we have the beliefs that we have internally about who we are. So if we go to like shame, how like a lot of Black Americans have shame about their history because of like the stain of slavery, the perceived stain of slavery, it's because media and text has always portrayed slavery to be a stain on your legacy and on your history and your identity. And I think that it's going to take Black people not trying to find like a rivaling platform. Like we will not have enough infrastructure or money to like rival something like a Fox 5, like a Fox News or MSNBC, but it's about creating these little like guerrilla like media platforms that are like sprung up from like spontaneity and then spreading that like a wildfire, and you know, just having open dialogue. Because I'm like, media that is not just like turn on the TV or listen to your favorite song. It's also like conversations you hear like as you're driving through the street or you're walking. Like media and text is so vast. And if we like go to like say the Nation of Islam or like the Black Panther Party or even Marcus Garvey Pan-Africanism, it's built upon propaganda, and propaganda can only be spread through media and text. And so it's really just about how do we figure out how to, if we talk about narrative stories and like Afrofuturism, how do we get these ideas to the people in a way that they can digest? And I think that there are a lot of institutions that think they will create that momentum that will bring us to a higher level of enlightenment and consciousness, but it, like as we're talking about, it all is connected to that system of capitalism, you know, Western hegemony, like with the veneration of Mansa Musa because of his access to wealth and power, or for example, I lost my point.
Media and tech.
Yeah. What's the first thing I had said? I was talking about it's all connected to them. Well, I guess ultimately the issue is that folks look at these institutions of power that are already there with power and feel as though that is the way in which I have to get my liberation. And so like, okay, so I was thinking about the academy, for example. Like a lot of people feel like if you go through college and you get the degrees, that there is a certain like level of like enfranchisement that you will receive in power. But then we also understand that a lot of people in the academy are super far removed from people who are on the streets because of the language gap, the media gap, the text gap. And a lot of people are not interested in or invested in breaking down that language to be like servable to everybody. So I guess I connect that to the whole like, we was kings. Okay, what about the niggas that was peasants? Like, what about the niggas that was princes? And like, what about the people that didn't have any of that status? How can we take this language and make that identifiable and also make it malleable? It doesn't have to be one narrative that everybody can identify in, but there can be a common thread and a common crux that like folks can draw from, and through like the lens of Afrofuturism and storytelling, how can you shape this central thing to fit to your narrative and your identity to bring you to a sense of empowerment so you can evolve beyond these things that happen to you historically and not look at them as something to be looking down at as shameful. And so I guess this is in a sense one step, us sitting here together and talking about it and then posting a line, spreading that.
I'll just say this, to talking about like having an end goal. Listen, a large part of at least my thinking is like strategy, and I would sound very like Machiavellian, but I got plans. I got it all laid out in there, right?
Got plans.
I got plans. And to some of the points also being made, like when we talk about like one of the things that is like a common thread through like all of these things is like religion, right? The Nation of Islam, the Christian Church, the Black Hebrew Israelites, they are all bound by something that is bigger and grander than just nation, than race. They all are connected to some metaphysical thing that they feel is beyond time and space and understanding. There's a level of grandiosity to it that I think is necessary for people psychologically to like get up out of bed, right? They need more than just I'm Black. Well, all skin folk and kinfolk. We know that, all right? Race, throw that shit out the fucking thing. Class. I don't give a fuck about other workers or whatever. As long as I got my check, whatever. I don't give a fuck about them niggas, right? Gender. I support all women. Some of you bitches be acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that people can all throw to the side for them to not care about whatever status or thing it is. But you talk about something metaphysical. You talk about something that is connected to your soul, who you are. Like deeper than your core. We talk about like the name being the first gift, something that like precedes that. That is what gets people the fuck out of bed. And a large part of why I try to do a lot of thinking. That that philosophy document that none of y'all niggas read is a little bit about that. No, you know what I'm saying.
I got 2 jobs.
You know what I'm saying? No, Bob. No, for sure. But no, like that is at least where like some of that has gone for me, because I can't identify with any of the Abrahamic religions, and I don't think I can identify with any of the like Eastern religions. And there's a lot of strains in like Marxism and a lot of strains in just like humanism that like ground you as a human to something like that is just bigger than yourself. You know, a lot of people, I don't know, get that from, I don't know, just like the sway or feel of a crowd or whatever the case may be. Like they feel connected to something like bigger than themselves. And I think that is like what is really important for any kind of like revolution, any sort of, real change. because yeah, like I don't know. He was there. We did the organizing. We did the organizing at school. Like we've all done like a number of different organizing like tasks and been part of different movements. But like, there's always something that like hits a wall, you know. And it be the material conditions. It's like niggas got 2 jobs. Niggas got jobs in school. Niggas got X, Y, and Z, right? But that doesn't always get in the way of, you know, if that motivation is there, that makes people feel like they're connected to something grander and very important. I don't know. I think that still motivates us, you know. And once that thing, whatever it is that people articulate to you, once you go to the church, once that stops hitting like it used to hit, then that's how you get people falling off. But people still, I don't even know if I'm making sense anymore. But yeah, I don't know. These are just some of the thoughts that I had been like sitting with, and some of that came up just as y'all were talking. But like, yeah, I don't know.
I think that flows into like that second point of like hope and what it requires and what you need to leave behind and in memory is that like, you know, the Christian church, like if you think of like, you know, like the MLKs, like, you know, like that whole cadre, there's I don't know how true it is, but very popular story of like there was a time when like Martin Luther King was like in bed and he was like just devastated from the work that he was doing, and he would like not get out of bed, and it's like some woman like she sang, and that gave him the like this like, you know, spiritual spark to get up and like go again. And you know, that's what got Obama elected, like hope. There's like the idea that like it could, like the idea that it could be better, which I think leads really well into like Afrofuturism. Like the concept of a better future makes you try to fix your present. And hope can manifest in different ways. It could be like an internal hope, but it also could be like children. Like I'm always of the thought that like the work that we do now is not for us, it's for the people coming after us.
You're not gonna see it.
But I think that hope is a very, very powerful tool, and it's often used when you got nothing else, when you're standing in the face of fear. Like right now, like a lot of people are scared, especially like in America, like our political climate and stuff. And it's just like, you know, what is your reason to keep going? What is your reason to try new things? What is your reason just to take the next step, live a little bit longer, you know? And that like kind of like goes back to like what you were talking about, Sieta, like earlier about tech and media, is that I think there is, if you look at all these institutions, it's like, you know, whether it be like Fox or like the New York Times or whatever, and how much power and influence they have, and how like you actually don't gotta go through that pipeline to like get like your message out. Because I think like around like, you know, like 60s, 70s, 80s, the political sphere of thought was so robust because everybody had a magazine. Like, you know, if you're talking about like the Black Panthers, if we talk about the like Marcus Garvey, if you talk about the Nation of Islam, they all got some kind of newspaper, and it was just all like, it was small, it was a small circulation, but it's just all like, it reached who it needed to reach. Like, you know, Marcus Garvey, his papers like reached back to the continent, and they knew what was going on, you know, in New York amongst this man. And it's just like about not always trying to make the biggest thing possible, but it's trying to make it relevant where you live. And that will eventually catch on. And I think that's like when you're talking about like how do we kind of disseminate these like academic frameworks into a place where people who don't have access to that can understand it. It's you know, we know our people the best, so it's just like I can talk to the person that's on the corner better than I can talk to somebody all the way over here because I know how this nigga speaks. And people really latch on to ideas more than they do verbiage. Like I saw this, it was this white guy, he like lives like in Ohio or something, and he works at a bar, and he said that his patrons are very like conservative, but he says when he gets to talking to them, and he with these radical thoughts or these like you know, left-leaning thoughts, and he doesn't put words around it, they'd be like, oh yeah, like I want that, I'm for that, I'm for this, I'm for that. And it's just it's all about language, it's all about connecting, and it's all like about the hope for something better, the hope that you can get one more person like on your side. So,
you know, kind of to bring it also like back to the question as you try and push it forward. You know, like you said, we have a lot of baggage, and you know, we may not need to start with like a clean slate, like per se, right? But like, what things do we bring with us, and what things do we absolutely have to make sure that we leave behind? You know, like, I'm make my niggas mad. It's like I would leave Christianity in the past, but I would leave a lot of the religious shit in the past. Just me personally. But I don't know. I'm curious. We don't even have to go down that route. We ain't gonna have that conversation today. I'm not gonna come up in somebody's house and start talking. But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm curious.
It's a deeply religious home.
A deeply religious, prostrating 6-7 times a day. You know what I'm saying? Home.
As we sit here in this Muslim household.
Yeah, I know. As we sit here in this beautiful Muslim household with their Muslim cats outside. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like
no Muslims on this on this podcast at the moment.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just toying with your question around like what do we leave behind, and I wonder like it comes to mind like we gotta leave oppression behind. I don't know that we have to actually like leave. Not that it has to be left behind, but like most things can be like a lot of things can be reclaimed. Like a lot of things, but not everything. Christianity wasn't invented to be oppressive. That's not its origin. It became that. Unquestionably became that. I'm not disputing that at all. But like Christianity at its core, had groups of people putting all of their possessions into common pots and like redistributing it. So I think similarly, Islam was not created to be oppressive. So if something was created to the end, hopefully, of like greater freedom, then what does it mean to keep the container, wash it out before we try to serve food in it again? Because we're not putting the fresh food into the dirty containers. There's a scripture about this, but I ain't gonna quote it. But like,
No.
New wine, old wineskins. That's not. I don't even know where it's. I don't. There's a Christian listening who will know exactly.
Who knows exactly?
No, that was a bar though.
Comments.
Yeah. That's from Matthew 22. So yeah.
Yeah, they'll put it in the comments what it
is.
is. That's for them. But like.
Is that true or you just talking
No,
shit?
I'm just talking
Oh,
shit.
okay. Hold on. I thought you got back in your
No,
back for a second.
It's definitely not Matthew 22.
That is not me. It's not Matthew 22. Whatever it is. I don't know if there is a Matthew 22, but whatever.
There is a Matthew.
There is.
It's a perfect name. Matthew's in there.
I know there's a Matthew. I don't know if there's 22 of them.
I think it
in
goes
the-
up.
in the thing.
Bro, shut up.
But yeah, like we will have to figure out like I was talking to someone else who isn't religious about this recently. Shout out to the homies at Cosmic Healing. Which new homies, we were having our first conversation. We didn't know each other prior. And that was that question of like, what do we do with religion? Is it useful? And my challenge is that like we talking about around 80% of Black Americans are Christian. It's hard for me to say that all the elders and like the the aunties and that these people just cannot go forward with something that resonates so deeply with them. And I think regardless of your actual religious practice, we've all heard a gospel song that goes up. And that may not even be a fully religious thing, but like gospel not going nowhere. No matter what Christianity does, gospel is not going anywhere. There is something about what Black Americans did with Christianity that I'm also very proud of. And I think that's very unique to us as a people. And so things like that, like I can't say I'm okay with leaving Christianity behind because that's such a deep part of our history that like I can't say no, we just can't take it. But what does it mean to like wash the container out and be able to find reconciliation and renewal with the thing that was handed to us very filthy? Just like a very Christian way of putting that. But like if we can leave the oppression behind, but like keep the liberating parts, is that possible? Can it be refined? Can it be purified? And it's we're recording this during Christmas season. I'm thinking of like Handel's Messiah, and he shall purify. Like, what does it mean to be a forerunner who will come and like make the way right for the thing to be able to be carried? And that is part of my hope, that the things that are sacred to us, I don't want to tell anybody like that's stupid. Like, I'm not trying to slap something out of somebody's hand. That doesn't feel good to me.
Of course.
But what does it mean to say like the children when they have their little bear? It's like this bear got like a little bit of pee on it. This bear done
Gotta let the bear go,
But like it's like no, I'm gonna give you the bear back, but give me this bear. I'm gonna wash it for you, and then and that bear's still gonna have an eyeball hanging out, and that ear's still gonna be dangling. Yeah, of course it is. But like that bear matters to that baby. And like this is not to infantilize these folks because like I am a Christian too. Like so I get it, but like that bear still matters. Like that bear still holds so much love and like so much care. And so like how is it that we can guide people through this process of reconciling something that was handed to them in a way that was meant to keep them down, but we can reclaim it just like we did nigga and say like actually we can empower ourselves with this. Like what is that 12-step program? Because like our people I think are going to need that in order to achieve the hopes that we're seeking.
I think that about what to keep, what to leave behind. I think it doesn't necessarily got to be that like finite. I think we can like expand some of these things. Like I think that like especially like in regards to because I've had a journey like with like my faith like over like any 20 something, but like you know I've like came back around to the church and like especially like when I got like a different analysis of the Bible and like that breaking down of like who is actually Jesus, like, and it's just like when you take away who he is and look at the actions, I'm like, oh, that's actually a lot of things that like I agree with as like who I think people should be, like caring for the poor, the sick, and like all these things, like the liberative part of it all. I can get down with that, but it's just like expanding to make room for more people to help. Like, hey, maybe we should stop using slurs for queer folk, you know, maybe as we've seen in our non-religious spaces that like women are really great at leading, like maybe, you know, we can do all of these things that is actually holding us back in this one space but propels us forward in others, and we can keep all the pots and to go with that analogy and like wash them up, but also like make bigger ones.
Agreed. Very agreed, because yeah, some things will need to be expanded. And this is not to say that we might not have to let go of some things that we really
For sure.
Some of y'all gonna have to let go of some stuff that's hard and it's not gonna feel good. And some things I will slap out of your hand. It's like, yeah, it's a precedence. Like we don't need homophobia to go forward. Like that's your religion does not equal homophobia. As much as y'all don't want to believe, you know, queer and transphobia is not coming with us. But if you think that your faith is a totality of that, you might want to study your faith a little more.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Dana, there's something what you were saying about Jesus when you were talking about like the fundamentals of like what Jesus stood for and believed in, that you actually like really align with these things. And so that reminds me of something I was talking about with my friend, because we've been trying to do like monthly like mutual aid parties or just events. And what my friend was saying is that, like, it sucks because some people, like a lot of people, they need it to be under the guise of like a group before they actually put forth their effort to like working towards something for the better of their community. But what I feel like I'm hearing like, and not just in this conversation, but in a lot of different ideologies, is that some things need to be deconstructed and like given to people through like just the core tenets in order for them to like get past their bias about what the overarching umbrella is. Because I believe that there are a lot of things that people inherently like agree upon with like let's say the Abrahamic religions, like same thing with like communism, for example. Like I remember I was talking to Sean once and she said that she was talking to her mom, and I think she was like talking about certain core tenets of like communism and how like her family they were agreeing with these core tenets, but as soon as you put the umbrella of communism, it's like, ooh, red scare. And it's like, I think that it's a funny parallel in which like both construction and deconstruction brings people together. And I'm like, I don't believe that Christianity or like any religion should be fully deconstructed to the point where you don't know what the source is. But I do believe that people need to be able to engage with what something is all about without feeling like because I feel like once people come into like a church, for example, now they feel like, oh, I'm doing the Christian thing, I'm doing this thing. But if you have like a human conversation with somebody on like mutual beliefs, then it doesn't feel like they have to subscribe to some type of dogma. And I think that's what I feel like a lot of people grapple with. Like a lot of people don't want to feel like they're being spoon-fed or forced into something. A lot of people want to feel like they're choosing a thing, but at the same time they want to be led. And I'm wondering, what are the ways in which we can share ideas without making a person feel like for having that idea they have now upheld like a certain title or like an identity. Like I think that people do need they need to get smacked in the hand for like feeling like if I believe in these things, I'm automatically like, I don't think that there should be an inherent issue with like believing in the tenets of communism and calling yourself a communist. I think people have to get off their ego in that. But I'm also wondering, like, I don't think that getting over of the ego is something that we can just manufacture like by pressing a button. I think that like it's still going to be like a double-edged sword or like a multi-faceted front in which we share the ideology and then introduce people to like the umbrella in which it like is under. And so I guess I'm curious about
I think that first part you said is like what is we've been bringing them up a lot, but like the Panthers like have done a lot is just like sharing the ideology is basically like sharing the knowledge. This is all like, hey, it might be as simple as like, you know, if I do the work of reading the book, I go to a nigga who I know is not gonna read the book and be like, and implement like, this is what I learned, you know, like, cause niggas don't be reading books, but, like, this is what I learned, and it builds a curiosity. And it's just like, oh, where'd you learn this? It's just like, well, this is where I got it from. So you need to do the work of like reading the rest to find out. And I think it's like, again, when you just like set it up as just like knowledge, like this is a thing, this is a thing, this is a thing, and this is the set of documents that I found it in, and let them take that step for themselves to dive deep and just let them rock. Like, you know, yeah, like that's kind of how I got into like liberation theology. is that somebody just told me a set of facts, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
What is that? And they was just like, well, this is where you need to go to get it. And a little bit is like curiosity and just like, you know, having that kind of like wheelhouse. But like, I was like, oh, well, I do want to know more. So I'm gonna, even though like, you know, I have my own like religious trauma around it, but it's just like, hey, for the sake of knowledge, let me go into it. And it became very beneficial. So, and it doesn't have to be with religion, but that's with anything. That's with, you know, political theory. That's with like all of these different things. It's just like putting out the breadcrumbs and like letting them find the bread later.
Because you don't
Also,
have... Oh, go ahead.
I'm not gonna say much. I have a question to ask after like y'all.
Yeah.
I was just gonna add to your point that you don't have to be religious to be an evangelical, and like I think you're, you know, what you raise around like bigger containers, more than just one Messiah, and what Sieta's raising about like offering quote unquote salvation and liberation to people in ways that are digestible and palatable, but like also presenting it as an offering and not saying like being so salesy and like, oh, you need that. Without this, you'll be nothing. Without this ideology, without this faith, you're just a filthy rag. You're just like, you might as well not exist if you don't adopt. Like, that is a very disempowering stance to like come to start with. And so to your point, it's like, and many will say the end justifies the means. Does it? Like, if we are doing things in a way that's extremely disempowering and discourages people from critical thinking and discourages people, you know, that forces people into dogma, that forces people into just rote kind of authority, like not unquestioning appeals to your authority or the authority of whatever figure you've identified yourself with, whether that's Jesus, communism, Mao, I don't care who you, but like Mansa Musa, like whoever, whichever figure you choose, you know. What if we don't need the messiahs? What if we don't need anything to be the end all be all? And what if we actually embrace a way that is super empowering to people, that allows them to chart their own pathway? And it can be a collective one too. This isn't to say it has to be super individualized, but I get the I have a Christian sense that comes over me, especially as somebody who's like not the deconstructed Christian, when like I see that evangelical sense about the left as we've been, you know, like I get concerned because if it's not working for evangelicals, like we're watching the logical conclusions of evangelical Christianity play out in real time. Are they by any means necessary? Any? Shout out to Malcolm. But like,
it was definitely a rhetorical choice
Yeah,
for sure.
It's any? Like, and I saw the quote I saw on Pinterest, and I feel so bad for not remembering who it is. I'm hoping I can quickly find it so that I can cite, because citation is important. But it was basically saying like, you know, what if there is no end and all we have is means? And then like, what are we left with? And I know somebody very, you know, kind, like smart and prolific, I'm sure probably said this. So we'll citation to follow.
Put it in the comments.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like about it, and
I'll
like,
figure out who that was and how to cite it. And hopefully they're not someone terrible.
It's Kevin Gates.
But what was it? I want to sing the little thing now, but I can't. I forget it because I'm too old.
Kevin Gates.
Fighting with my bitch.
So
Yeah.
to end off the episode, like, what is one thing that y'all want to keep?
like that's a question.
Let's wrap this shit up.
Were you asking a question?
Yeah, like we talked a lot about like things we want to leave behind or things we want to deconstruct, but it's what's one thing that we would want to keep?
In what sphere? Like,
Just like, I guess I'm talking about like crossing over, talk about thresholds, moving forward, and say like that end goal is like everybody's liberated. Like when we do away with all these things on the road to liberation, like what are things that we actually do want to keep? Because like for me, like the thing that I'm talking about Kendrick Lamar, the thing that makes Kendrick Lamar great is the lack of clean slate. Like we're all coming to the same unclean slate, and we recognize where this is starting from, and that's what the collective memory of it all makes it great. And that historical like start point, I actually don't want to do away with. Like all the trauma, all the fuck shit, all of that informs everything that we've done. Like really not only inspired of, but because of. And I would not want to erase the memory of that, because it actually is something that propels us to move forward and do great things in the name of. And that like, and I know that particularly that people will like disagree with me in that, like, oh, we need to get it, but like I'm like I want to keep that. I want to keep that because I really do feel like, you know, like our ancestors that were enslaved, like was dreaming and looking toward a future that like they had no business really like conceptualizing because of their circumstances. And that's worth keeping to me, like that spirit.
Yeah, I agree, like, with the keeping of spirit, because I'm like, I was trying to figure out like what words I want to use to like phrase myself, but fuck it, I'm gonna just do it dirty. But I feel like in a sense, I want to keep like, it feels like not an addiction to like enduring pain, but like that like enduring and like resilience that can sometimes turn into like self-flagellation. But like I feel like in that it's like a toughness that has allowed us to like persevere over time. And I think that the crux of that is like some belief in spirit, because I feel like when you talk about religion and spirit, it is the belief in like something beyond yourself that allows you to endure the things that your corporeal form is like experiencing. And I think that like without it being inherently religious, like Black people over the course of history have found a way to tap into that without even realizing that it might be like some adherence to spirit. And of course, like en masse, like Black people do realize that. But I think that because the way in which I see it become negative is when people become addicted to their own trauma and pain and relive those experiences in a way that is detrimental to themselves and everybody around them, and nobody gets anywhere. But I think that there's a certain level of toughness that we're gonna have to have. So I'm thinking about right now, this just popped into my head about how like for Black kids, when they were integrating into white schools, they would have people like blow smoke into their face or call them slurs or do all these different things in order to like help them develop a certain skin to go through that oppression and come out of it like not unscathed, but still like functional, for lack of better terminology. And like at the heart of that, it's like a really shitty thing. We shouldn't have to go through that, but there's a lot of shit that we shouldn't have to go through that become like they become tools in a sense. And I'm like, I don't think that Black people need to part from suffering and like our relationship with suffering, but I think that we need to shift the ways in which we view our own suffering and like turn it from like a sadism or like a masochism into like a weapon against like oppression. Because it's like, you can do all this shit to me and my body and whatever, but I understand that that's not going to break me. And then also like, I'm doing this for more than just myself in this current moment, or myself, period. The whole conversation around the work that we're doing is not for our own liberation. We have to learn how to suffer for not just ourselves. And I think that a lot of people can internalize that relationship with suffering and only suffer for their own ego. And I'm like, what does it look like to suffer for like beyond your ego and for like the group, and turning your relationship with like resilience and endurance into one that can be sharpened for everybody around you that you want to liberate.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect sense.
Yeah, I want to carry our deep sense of spirituality as well. The fact, you know, we do have all these survival technologies, like you said, Sieta, we come with, and that comes with spiritual technologies. I don't want to leave them behind, so I want those to go with us, and I want our future, our Afro future, to be beautifully spiritual and even religious to an extent. Child, not too much.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with everything y'all are have been saying. I still have very, very strong thoughts, of course, on religion, spirituality, and all that stuff.
That's all right.
But I think the thing that resonated with me the most was, and I think what I want to keep is the word nigga. That is 100% what I want to keep, because, like, truly, when you said like Christianity was once a thing that was but I've heard that before. It didn't resonate with me personally, right?
Fair.
But it's true, and I don't feel negative when the homies say nigga or whatever the case may be, right? But and that speaks to something. It speaks to something that Black people, I don't know if it's uniquely us, but it's a capacity that we have to be transformative, to create, to mold things, to turn things into other things. And I'm still very much of the belief that like, I'll say I've always been sort of questioning, right? I don't know if Christianity is something that I think we could bring along. There are certainly things that I love about it. There are things that I would want to keep. I was just in Atlanta, and censor that when I,
Don't get me started on that city.
Don't get me started on that city. But, just in Atlanta, my family took me to church I've never been to, and I haven't been to church in I don't know how many years, and just seeing what people got out of it, is something that is beautiful, and I'm glad that people have a space for that. And it wasn't even like the Sunday services where niggas are just fucking jumping and doing all that they get with the spirit is in there.
You know, when the Apostolic Holiness Tabernacle.
It wasn't even that.
In the Everglades.
It wasn't even that.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't even that. It was just a random ass guest speaker, and he was talking. And he was still talking. He wasn't talking nothing good, but he was talking, and people was like, "Go ahead, preacher. Go ahead, talk about it. Say it." I like that. I like that people have that. I like that there is something that people can turn to and come to. And I like that there are people that provide that. I like that there is care that others have for others. And yeah, if anything, I want to make sure that we maintain that capacity to care for others, but also to be transformative and turn things that were bad into a good thing, and embed that in our culture and our identity, and into something that like is undoubtedly not going away, like the word nigga. So yeah, that's probably where I'm at.
Well, this was a really beautiful episode. Thank you to Casey and Sieta for coming along, sharing your insights.
We didn't know where we was going, but we got there.
But we got there, and we definitely gonna kidnap y'all and make y'all do another few episodes.
You gotta kidnap me. I'll come with you.
Well, we gonna kidnap Casey because
you know how she didn't say
Kidnap her in her own home.
in her own home. Yeah, hold her hostage.
We are in my house.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks, I really appreciate it. This is the Red Clay Podcast, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.